In 2031, the Galactic Confederation made humanity an offer that billions of civilizations had accepted before us. They promised to shield Earth from the horrors that lurk in the dark void between stars. But humans had one simple question that sent shockwaves through a 1,000-year-old empire. Shield us from what, exactly? Dr. Elena Vasquez was analyzing deep space radio signals at the Atacama Observatory when every telescope on Earth simultaneously detected the same impossible thing, a perfectly geometric structure materializing at the edge of the solar system. It wasn't a ship. It was architecture on a cosmic scale, crystalline spires that stretched for thousands of kilometers, rotating slowly in the void like a celestial city. The structure pulsed with soft golden light that somehow reached Earth despite the vast distance. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. Control, are you seeing this? Elena spoke into her headset, voice trembling. The object. It's not following any known physics. It's generating its own gravity well. Within hours, similar structures appeared in orbit around every major planet in the solar system. Not threatening, majestic. Like monuments built by gods. News reports flooded every channel. Confirmation from observatories globally. The objects show no signs of aggression, but their technology appears to be millions of years beyond our capabilities. Captain Marcus Rivera was coordinating Earth's emergency response from NORAD when the first message arrived. It didn't come through radio waves or quantum channels. It simply appeared, perfectly translated, in the mind of every human being on the planet simultaneously. The voice was warm, ancient, and spoke with the authority of eons. People of Sol 3, you call it Earth. We are the Galactic Confederation representatives of 847 member civilizations across this spiral arm. We have observed your species' emergence into spacefaring capability. We come to offer you protection. Sir, reports are coming in from every major capital, Rivera reported to General Hayes. In the NORAD command center, everyone heard the same message. Same words, same voice, regardless of language or location. That's not possible, General Hayes replied. Neither were those structures, sir. The second message came 12 hours later, during what would have been peak viewing time across all global time zones. The universe contains dangers that young species cannot comprehend. Cosmic predators, reality storms, civilizations that consume entire star systems. Accept our protection and join the Confederation as a shielded world. You will be safe. Dr. Elena Vasquez was still at her telescope when the third message arrived. She had been trying to scan the mysterious structures, but every instrument showed the same reading: null. As if they existed in a dimension slightly adjacent to reality. We will send representatives to discuss terms. Prepare a location for diplomatic contact. This offer has never been refused. Elena turned to her research partner, Dr. James Park. James, did you catch that last part? This offer has never been refused. Maybe because it's a good offer? Park suggested. Protection from cosmic horrors sounds pretty appealing. Or maybe because species that refuse don't get to tell their story. Elena was a xenobiologist who had spent her career studying the possibility of alien life. She had written papers on first contact scenarios, but this wasn't how she had imagined it would happen. The Confederation was too prepared, too organized, too familiar with human psychology. She pulled up data on her computer. James, look at this. The transmission timing, the global coordination, the perfect translation. They know us too well. What do you mean? They're not making first contact. They're making an offer to species they've been studying for a long time. Captain Rivera had similar concerns. He was reviewing the military's response protocols when something bothered him. About the Confederation's approach. On a secure line with the Pentagon, he voiced his thoughts. "General, I've been thinking about their message. They mentioned cosmic predators and reality storms, but they didn't provide any specifics. No examples, no evidence, no data. Maybe they're waiting for the diplomatic meeting," General Hayes replied via secure video. "Sir, if someone told you there were dangerous animals in a forest, wouldn't you ask what kind of animals? What makes them dangerous? How they hunt? You would, Captain. Most people would. But they're counting on us not asking." Elena made her decision that night. Using the observatory's deep space communication array, she began scanning for any traces of these supposed cosmic predators. If the universe was as dangerous as the Confederation claimed, there should be evidence. Working late into the night, she commanded the computer, "Scan for anomalous energy signatures in the local galactic region. Cross-reference with any patterns that could indicate predatory civilizations or reality disturbances." The computer processed terabytes of astronomical data from the past 50 years. The results were puzzling. Scan complete. No evidence of predatory civilizations detected. No reality storms or cosmic anomalies consistent with described threats. Local galactic region shows standard stellar evolution patterns. Elena stared at the readout. Either humanity's instruments were too primitive to detect the threats, or the threats didn't exist. The diplomatic meeting was scheduled for 3 days later at the United Nations. Representatives from every major nation would attend, along with scientific advisors and military personnel. But Elena and Captain Rivera were beginning to suspect that the most important question wouldn't be about joining the Confederation. It would be about what they were really protecting humanity from. Elena called Captain Rivera. "Captain, I've been analyzing the data. I think we need to ask some very specific questions at that meeting." "What kind of questions, Doctor?" "The kind that might save our species." The Galactic Confederation had made their offer with the confidence of a 1,000-year-old empire, but they had made one crucial miscalculation. They had never encountered a species that responded to generous offers with a simple, dangerous question: why? The United Nations General Assembly had never hosted beings from another star system. The massive hall buzzed with nervous energy as world leaders, scientists, and military advisors took their seats. Dr. Elena Vasquez sat in the scientific advisory section, her laptop loaded with questions that could change everything. Captain Marcus Rivera coordinated security from the command center, but his real focus was on the data streaming from deep space monitoring stations. The Confederation structures remained in their positions around the solar system, pulsing with that same golden light dot at exactly 14 o'clock GMT. The air in the center of the assembly hall began to shimmer. Reality seemed to fold in on itself, and 3 figures materialized from nothing. They were tall, elegant beings with crystalline skin that reflected light in impossible ways. Their features were humanoid but refined, as if humanity had been perfected by millions of years of evolution. They wore robes that seemed to be made of captured starlight, flowing and shifting with each movement. The lead figure stepped forward and spoke without moving its lips. The words appeared directly in everyone's minds, perfectly translated and warm with authority. "I am Coordinator Zenth of the Galactic Confederation. With me are advisors Kel and Mira. We bring greetings from 847 civilizations across this spiral arm of the galaxy." President Chun of the United Earth Council stood to respond. "Welcome to Earth, Coordinator Zenth. We are honored by your presence and grateful for your offer of protection." Zenth's crystalline features shifted into what might have been a smile. "Your species shows great promise. Young, energetic, curious. These are admirable qualities, but they can also be dangerous in a universe filled with threats." Secretary General Martinez leaned forward. "Could you elaborate on these threats? Our scientists would benefit from understanding what we face." "Of course," Zenth replied. "The cosmos contains entities that feed on developing civilizations. The devourers who consume entire star systems for energy. The mind plague, which spreads from world to world, driving species to madness. The void hunters who harvest young races for reasons we dare not speak. Elena felt a chill at the descriptions, but something bothered her about the way Zenth spoke. The threats sounded terrifying, but they were vague. No specific locations, no tactical data, no evidence. Advisor Kell stepped forward. We have protected countless species from these dangers. As a shielded world, Earth would join a network of safe civilizations. Your people would be free to develop culturally and scientifically within the protection of our barriers. What kind of barriers? Asked Dr. Sarah Kim, the lead physicist from CERN. Dimensional shields that render your solar system invisible to predatory forces, Advisor Mira explained. Energy dampeners that prevent your signals from attracting unwanted attention. Quantum locks that ensure your world remains stable and secure. Elena raised her hand. Coordinator Zenth, could you provide us with examples of civilizations you've successfully protected? Perhaps some data on the threats they faced. Zenth's crystalline form seemed to dim slightly. The protected worlds prefer their privacy. Safety requires discretion. As for the threats, young species often lack the conceptual framework to understand cosmic dangers. But surely some basic data, Elena began. Dr. Vasquez, President Chen interrupted. Perhaps we should focus on the benefits of protection, rather than dwelling on the dangers. Elena noticed how quickly the human leaders wanted to move past her questions. It was as if they were afraid of appearing ungrateful or hostile. Captain Rivera's voice came through Elena's earpiece. Doctor, I'm tracking something interesting. The Confederation structures are emitting low-level energy fields toward Earth. Nothing harmful, but I think they might be influencing the mood in that room. Elena touched her earpiece to acknowledge, then looked around the assembly hall. The world leaders seemed unusually calm and accepting. Their questions were softball inquiries, about benefits rather than probing examinations of the offer. Coordinators Zenth continued his presentation. Membership in the Confederation brings many advantages. Access to our medical knowledge, which could extend human lifespans by centuries. Clean energy technologies that would solve your environmental challenges. Agricultural advances that could feed billions. These sound wonderful, said Prime Minister Singh. What would be required of U.S. in return? Very little, Zenth assured. Simply accept our protection barriers and agree to our guidance on interstellar matters. Some restrictions on deep space exploration and communication would be necessary for your safety. Elena felt alarm bells going off in her mind. What kind of restrictions? Advisor Kell answered smoothly. Nothing that would limit your development. Simply agreements not to broadcast high-energy signals that might attract predators, and not to venture beyond your local stellar neighborhood without proper escort. So we'd be confined to our solar system? Elena pressed. Protected within your solar system, Mira corrected. Free to explore 9 worlds rather than risking destruction among billions. Dr. Kim from CERN asked, what about our radio telescopes? And space programs? Would those be affected? Upgraded and improved, Zenth promised. But monitored to ensure your signals don't reach dangerous entities. We would provide you with filtered information about the galaxy, sharing what is safe for young species to know. Elena stood up, her scientist's instincts overriding diplomatic protocol. Coordinator Zenth, in all respect, you're asking us to accept restrictions on our exploration and communication based on threats you won't describe, from a universe you won't let us observe directly. How is that different from imprisonment? Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. The temperature in the assembly hall seemed to drop. Zenth's crystalline features hardened, and for just a moment, Elena saw something cold and ancient in those alien eyes. Dr. Vasquez, President Chun said sharply, "That's an inappropriate characterization." "No," Elena interrupted. "It's an appropriate question. If these threats are real, show us the evidence. If your protection works, let us speak to the protected civilizations. If your offer is genuine, why won't you let us verify it?" The three Confederation representatives exchanged glances, a very human gesture that somehow seemed wrong coming from beings of crystalline light. "Coordinator." Zenth's mental voice carried a note of steel beneath its warmth. Young species often struggle with concepts beyond their understanding. Trust is required when knowledge would be dangerous. Elena realized she had reached a crucial moment. The entire future of humanity might depend on her next words. "Trust," she said clearly, "is earned through transparency, not demanded through fear." The assembly hall fell silent. For the first time since they had arrived, the Galactic Confederation looked genuinely surprised. They had never encountered a species that responded to their generous offer with skepticism rather than gratitude. The diplomatic meeting adjourned with no resolution. World leaders agreed to carefully consider the Confederation's offer, but Elena could see the writing on the wall. Most were already convinced. The promise of medical advances and clean energy was too appealing, and the vague threats too frightening. To ignore Elena returned to the Atacama Observatory that evening, her mind racing. Captain Rivera had arranged for a secure communication link, and they needed to dig deeper before humanity made a decision it couldn't undo. "Doctor, I've been analyzing the energy signatures from their structures," Rivera reported over the encrypted channel. "Whatever they're broadcasting isn't just passive. It's actively affecting brain chemistry, specifically the regions responsible for risk assessment and skepticism." Elena pulled up her own data. "That explains why everyone in that room seemed accepting. Marcus, I need you to help me access the Deep Space Archives. If the Confederation has been operating for 1,000 years, there should be traces." "What kind of traces?" "Missing civilizations. Radio signals that suddenly stopped. Star systems that went dark." Elena's fingers flew across her keyboard. "They mentioned 847 member civilizations. Let's see if we can find what happened to the ones who aren't members." Working through the night, they began cross-referencing astronomical data with historical records of extraterrestrial signals. The results were disturbing. Dr. James Park joined their investigation remotely from the European Southern Observatory. "Elena, I found something. Remember the Kepler 442 system? We detected complex radio patterns from there 15 years ago, signs of an advanced civilization. What happened to them?" "The signals stopped abruptly 12 years ago. But here's the interesting part. I can still detect energy signatures from the planet. The civilization is still there, but they've gone completely silent." Elena felt a chill. "How many similar cases can you find?" Park's response came an hour later. 73 star systems where we detected signs of intelligent life, then sudden radio silence, all within the past 50 years. All in this region of the galaxy. Captain Rivera added his findings. "I've been tracking the Confederation's movements using our deep space sensors. Their structures didn't just appear, they've been moving through our region for decades, visiting system after system in a methodical pattern." Elena started mapping the data. The pattern that emerged was terrifying. "Look at this progression. They visit a system, offer protection, and within a few years, that civilization stops all external communication. They're not protecting these species, they're silencing them. But why?" Park asked. Elena remembered something from the diplomatic meeting. They mentioned restrictions on deep space exploration and communication. What if that's not about protection? What if it's about control? Rivera had been running background checks on the Confederation's claims. "Doctor, I couldn't find any evidence of these supposed threats. No stellar phenomena matching their descriptions of devourers or void hunters. If these cosmic predators exist, They're remarkably good at avoiding detection. Or they don't exist at all, Elena concluded. Their investigation was interrupted by an unexpected visitor. Dr. Sarah Kim from CERN arrived at the observatory with a team of quantum physicists. "Elena, we need to talk," Kim said urgently. "I've been analyzing the quantum signatures from the Confederation's technology. What I found is concerning." Kim activated a portable holographic display. "Their dimensional shields don't just hide solar systems, they isolate them completely. Nothing gets in or out. No communication, no travel, no contact with the outside universe. A prison," Elena said quietly. "A very sophisticated prison. But here's what's really disturbing. I found traces of similar technology in our own solar system. Old traces, like someone was testing the equipment." Rivera leaned forward. "How old?" "Based on the quantum decay patterns, I'd estimate about 20 years. They've been preparing to cage us for 2 decades. Elena's laptop chimed with an incoming message from an unexpected source. The sender was listed as Whisper Network, a designation she didn't recognize. The message was brief. "Dr. Vasquez, you're asking the right questions. We are survivors from the Vega system. Our world accepted Confederation protection 50 years ago. We have been trapped ever since. This communication window will close soon. Look for the hidden signals in the cosmic background radiation. Frequency 1420.4 MHz. Trust no one who offers safety without freedom." The message vanished from her screen, as if it had never existed. Elena's hand shook as she explained to the others, "Someone's trying to warn us. Survivors from a protected world." Kim immediately began adjusting their radio telescope to the specified frequency. What they found hidden in the cosmic background radiation was a weak but persistent signal, not random noise, but a pattern. A message. After hours of decoding, the message became clear. Warning to all developing species. The Galactic Confederation is not what it claims. Protection equals imprisonment. We are the Vega Coalition, 347 trapped civilizations secretly maintaining contact. The threats they describe are fabrications. The real threat is them. Do not accept their offer. Fight while you still can. The message included coordinates for other trapped systems and technical data about the Confederation's control methods. Most disturbing were the population statistics. Every protected world had seen its population stabilize and then slowly decline over decades of isolation. They're not just imprisoning civilizations, Rivera realized. They're slowly extinguishing them. Elena stood up, her decision made. "We need to warn Earth's leaders. The vote on accepting protection is scheduled for tomorrow." But when she tried to contact the UN, she received an automated response. "Due to security considerations, all communication regarding the Confederation offer has been restricted to official channels. Please direct inquiries to the appropriate diplomatic authorities." Kim checked her own contacts at CERN. Same response. "They've locked down all scientific communication about this." Rivera's military channels gave him the same treatment. "It's like they've activated some kind of information containment protocol." Elena realized the truth. The Confederation isn't just influencing our leaders, they're controlling information flow. Anyone who asks inconvenient questions gets cut off from official channels. Through her personal contacts, Elena learned that similar restrictions were being implemented worldwide. Scientists who questioned the offer found their access revoked. Military personnel who expressed concerns were reassigned. Journalists who investigated too deeply had their stories killed by editors who suddenly found other priorities more important. The Confederation was systematically silencing opposition before humanity could make an informed decision. "How many people know what we know?" Park asked. Elena looked at her small team, maybe a dozen scientists worldwide, against a 1,000-year-old empire that's perfected the art of civilizational capture. But Elena had learned something important. During her investigation, the Confederation's greatest strength, their systematic approach, was also their weakness. They followed patterns, used the same methods on every species, and patterns could be disrupted by people who understood them. "We have less than 18 hours before the vote," Elena said. "Time to see if humans are as unpredictable as we like to think we are." Elena had 18 hours to prevent humanity from walking into a trap that had snared 347 civilizations before. Them, with official channels blocked, she needed to think like the hackers and activists who had always found ways around authoritarian control. Dr. Park came up with the first breakthrough. "Elena, remember how the Vaga survivors contacted us? They used the cosmic background radiation as a carrier wave. What if we reverse the process? Broadcast our evidence through natural cosmic phenomena?" "Exactly. Every radio telescope on Earth monitors cosmic background radiation. If we encode our data into those frequencies, we can reach every observatory simultaneously." Captain Rivera coordinated with underground networks of military personnel who shared his concerns. "I've got contacts in 12 countries who noticed the same behavioral changes in their leadership. They're ready to help, but we need proof that even influenced minds can't ignore." Dr. Kim had been working on something more direct. "I've been analyzing the Confederation's dimensional shield technology. If I'm right about the quantum mechanics involved, I can prove these aren't protection barriers, they're prison walls." Elena's laptop chimed with another hidden message from the Whisper network. "Time grows short. Confederation preparing to coup. Activate permanent barriers around Sol system. Once active, no communication possible. Window closes at vote time. Use the proof we're transmitting quantum signatures of our prison walls." The data that followed was devastating. Detailed quantum measurements from inside a dimensional barrier showed that the technology didn't just block harmful signals, it blocked everything. No communication in or out. No travel beyond the barrier, complete isolation. "This is it," Elena said. "Physical proof that can't be dismissed or explained away." But they needed a way to reach the world leaders who would vote in 14 hours. That's when an unexpected ally emerged. Secretary General Martinez contacted Elena through a back-channel emergency frequency. "Dr. Vasquez, I've been experiencing clarity since leaving the UN building yesterday. The further I get from those structures, the clearer my thinking becomes. Secretary General, the Confederation is using some form of mental influence. I know, and I'm not the only one who's noticed. Several world leaders have contacted me privately expressing concerns they couldn't voice in the assembly hall. We need evidence strong enough to break through whatever they're doing to us." Elena quickly transmitted the quantum data from the trapped civilizations. Martinez was silent for a long moment after reviewing it. "My God, these readings. If this is accurate, accepting their protection would be accepting permanent imprisonment. That's not all, Secretary General. We've identified 347 civilizations that accepted similar offers. None of them have made contact with the outside universe for decades." Martinez's voice hardened with resolve. "Dr. Vasquez, I'm calling an emergency session for 6 hours before the scheduled vote. Can you present this evidence directly to the Assembly? If I can get there without being stopped, leave that to me." Meanwhile, Dr. Kim made a disturbing discovery. "Elena, I've been monitoring the Confederation structures around our solar system. They're not just broadcasting influence fields anymore. They're beginning to charge some kind of massive energy system." Rivera checked his readings, confirmed. "Power levels in all structures have increased by 300% in the last hour. Whatever they're preparing to do, it's big." Elena realized the implications. They're not waiting for our vote. They're preparing to activate the barriers regardless of what we decide. The emergency session convened at the UN with unusual security measures. Secretary General Martinez had arranged for the assembly to meet in a hardened chamber that blocked external electromagnetic influences. For the first time since the Confederation's arrival, the world leaders seemed to be thinking clearly. Elena stood before the assembly with her evidence displayed on screens around the hall. The quantum signatures were undeniable dimensional barriers that prevented any form of escape or communication. Leaders of Earth, Elena began, we face a choice between the illusion of safety and the reality of freedom. The Galactic Confederation has offered us protection, but the evidence shows they're offering us a beautiful cage. She displayed the data from the 73 silenced civilizations, the hidden communications from trapped survivors, and the quantum analysis proving the barriers were prison walls, not shields. President Chun, no longer under the influence field, looked shocked. Dr. Vasquez, are you saying this entire offer is a deception? I'm saying the threats they describe don't exist. There are no cosmic predators, no reality storms, no void hunters. The only threat to developing civilizations is the Confederation itself. Prime Minister Singh studied the data. What about their claims of medical advances and clean energy? Dr. Kim stepped forward. The technology exists, but it comes with a price: complete isolation from the galactic community. They offer to solve our problems by ensuring we can never become a true spacefaring species. At that moment, the chamber's emergency systems activated. Captain Rivera's voice came through the communication system. All world leaders, this is Captain Rivera at NORAD. The Confederation structures around Earth have begun generating massive energy fields. They're activating the dimensional barriers. Now, regardless of our decision, Elena felt her heart race. They never intended to give us a choice. The vote was just a formality to make us complicit in our own imprisonment. Secretary General Martinez stood. Then we have only one option. We must refuse their offer and prepare to resist. But as he spoke, Coordinator Zenth materialized in the chamber, no longer pretending warmth or diplomacy. The crystalline being's features were cold and angular. Your investigation ends now, Zenth announced. Earth will join the Confederation as a protected world. Your agreement is no longer required. Elena stepped forward, no longer intimidated. Why? Why trap entire civilizations? What do you gain from imprisoning us? Zenth's reply chilled everyone. In the chamber, young species are chaotic, unpredictable, dangerous. Left unchecked, you expand aggressively, ask inconvenient questions, disrupt established order. The galaxy has been peaceful for 1,000 years because we prevent such chaos. Peaceful for whom? Elena demanded. For those civilized enough to deserve freedom. Your species, like the others we've contained, lacks the wisdom to use liberty responsibly. You will be preserved, protected, and prevented from disturbing the greater galactic community. President Chun stood. And if we refuse? Zenth's form seemed to darken. Refusal is no longer possible. The barriers are activating as we speak. Earth will join our collection of preserved worlds, whether willingly or not. Elena realized the horrifying truth. You're not protecting the galaxy from cosmic threats. You're protecting it from diversity, from change, from species that might challenge your control. Order requires control, Dr. Vasquez. Chaos must be contained. Outside the chamber, the Confederation structures blazed with golden light as the dimensional barriers began forming around Earth's solar system. Humanity had minutes, not hours, before they would be cut off from the universe forever. But Elena had learned something important during her investigation. The Confederation's greatest weakness was that they had never encountered a species that refused to be contained. They were about to discover what human unpredictability really meant. The dimensional barriers were forming faster than anyone had anticipated. Golden light cascaded between the Confederation structures, creating visible walls in space that grew stronger by the minute. Earth had perhaps 30 minutes before the prison would be complete and permanent. Elena's mind raced as she faced Coordinator Zenth in the UN chamber. There has to be a way to stop this. Every system has a weakness. Zenth's crystalline features showed what might have been amusement. Dr. Vasquez, we have perfected this process over 1,000 years. 347 civilizations have tried to resist. All now rest peacefully in their protected spheres. But Elena remembered something from the Whisper Network communications. The trapped civilizations hadn't given up. They were still fighting, still maintaining secret contact across impossible distances. Captain Rivera's voice crackled through the emergency channel. Dr. Vasquez, I'm reading massive quantum fluctuations from the barrier formation. Dr. Kim was right about the technology. It's creating weak points during the initialization phase. Dr. Kim's excited voice joined the communication. Elena, the barriers have to synchronize across all planetary positions. During that synchronization window, there's a brief moment of vulnerability. Maybe 90 seconds when the entire system is exposed. Elena looked directly at Zenth. You've made one crucial mistake in all your 1,000 years of imprisonment. What mistake could a young species possibly identify that we have not considered? You've never imprisoned a species that had friends on the outside. Elena activated her laptop, broadcasting on the cosmic background radiation frequency that connected Earth to the Whisper Network. Her message was simple. All trapped civilizations, this is Earth. We need you to destabilize your barriers at exactly 1647 GMT. We're going to break the entire network. Zenth's form flickered with alarm. Impossible. The barriers cannot be affected from within. Elena smiled grimly. Maybe not individually, but 347 civilizations acting simultaneously? That's a level of chaos your orderly system wasn't designed to handle. Across the galaxy, the message reached the hidden resistance networks in each trapped world. Civilizations that had maintained secret hope for decades suddenly had a chance to act. Secretary General Martinez coordinated Earth's response. All nations, all space agencies, prepare every available resource. We have one shot at this. Dr. Park had been working with observatories worldwide to track the barrier formation. Elena, I'm reading synchronized responses from multiple star systems. They're all attempting to destabilize their barriers simultaneously. The Confederation structures around Earth began to pulse erratically as signals flooded in from across their network. Zenth's form became less stable, flickering between solid and translucent. The network is experiencing difficulties, Zenth admitted, his mental voice losing its confident tone. Elena pressed the advantage. That's what happens when you try to control chaos. Eventually, it finds a way to break free. Captain Rivera reported from NORAD. Massive energy surges detected across all Confederation structures. Something's definitely happening to their network. But the Confederation wasn't defenseless. Advisor Kell materialized beside Zenth, and Elena could see other figures appearing around the structures worldwide. Coordinator Zenth, authorization received to implement emergency protocols, Kell announced. We are cleared to accelerate barrier completion and sever network connections to prevent cascade failure. Elena felt a moment of despair. They were going to cut Earth off from the resistance network and complete the prison regardless of the cost. That's when Dr. Kim made her move. She had been quietly working on her tablet throughout the confrontation, analyzing the quantum signatures of the Confederation's technology. Elena, I found something. Their entire system depends on quantum entanglement across galactic distances. If we can create a massive enough disruption in local space-time, what do you need? Every nuclear power plant on Earth needs to go into controlled overload simultaneously. And I mean everyone. Secretary General Martinez looked shocked. Dr. Kim, that could destroy our entire power grid. Or it could create a quantum pulse that shatters their network permanently. Elena made the decision that would define humanity's future. Do it. Martinez activated emergency protocols worldwide. All nuclear facilities. This is Secretary General Martinez with the Condition Alpha Directive. Execute controlled overload procedures on my mark. Zenth's form blazed with alarm. You cannot possibly understand the consequences. We understand. Enough, Elena interrupted. We understand that freedom is worth the risk. The countdown began. Nuclear facilities across Earth prepared for synchronized overload, not enough to cause meltdowns, but enough to create massive electromagnetic disruption. Across the planet, meanwhile, the responses from trapped civilizations intensified. The Whisper Network carried messages of hope and defiance from worlds that had been silent for decades. This is Vega Coalition, destabilizing barriers now. Kepler 442 resistance, all systems overloading. Tau Ceti survivors, joining synchronized. Rebellion. The golden barriers around Earth began to flicker and spark as the Confederation's network struggled to maintain control over hundreds of simultaneously failing systems. 10 seconds to overload, Rivera announced. Zenth made one final attempt to stop them. Dr. Vasquez, if you succeed, you will expose your species to real dangers. There are forces in the galaxy that justify our protection. Elena looked at the alien coordinator with complete certainty. Then we'll face those dangers as free beings, not as preserved specimens in your collection. 5 seconds. The barriers are destabilizing across the entire network, Dr. Park reported. 3, 2, 1. Execute. Every nuclear power plant on Earth simultaneously released controlled electromagnetic pulses. The quantum disruption rippled outward at the speed of light, racing toward the Confederation structures. At the same moment, 347 trapped civilizations across the galaxy created their own disruptions, turning the Confederation's own network against itself. The golden barriers around Earth shattered like glass, sending cascades of liberated energy across the solar system. Similar failures echoed across the galaxy as world after world broke free from their beautiful prisons. Zenth's form began to fade, along with the other Confederation representatives. You have made a grave mistake, humans. Without our protection, we'll find out together, Elena said firmly. All of us, free. The last thing they heard from Coordinator Zenth was a sound that might have been surprise, or possibly fear. Impossible. The network was perfect. As the Confederation structures dissolved into quantum foam, Elena realized that humanity had not just freed themselves. They had sparked the first galactic revolution in 1,000 years. The question now was, what would they do with their freedom? The silence that followed the Confederation's collapse was profound. For the first time in 1,000 years, hundreds of star systems across the galaxy could speak freely to the universe. Elena stood in the UN chamber, watching through the windows as Earth's night sky lit up with new signals. Radio telescopes worldwide were detecting transmissions from civilizations that had been silent for decades, some for centuries. Dr. Park's voice came through the communication system, filled with wonder. Elena, we're receiving over 400 distinct signals from previously silent systems. They're all trying to talk at once. The first clear message came from the Vega Coalition. People of Earth, this is Speaker Corvani of the Vega Resistance. We have waited 57 years to say these words. We are free, thank you. More messages flooded in from across the galaxy. Civilizations sharing their stories, their art, their science, everything they had been prevented from expressing during their imprisonment. Captain Rivera coordinated the communications from NORAD. Dr. Vasquez, I'm tracking approximately 347 star systems that have gone active in the past hour. Some of these civilizations have been trapped for over 2 centuries. Elena felt the weight of what they had accomplished. Humanity's simple refusal to accept imprisonment without question had triggered the liberation of hundreds of worlds. Secretary General Martinez addressed the world leaders still gathered in the chamber. We face a completely new reality. The galaxy is no longer controlled by the Confederation. We're free to explore, to communicate, to build relationships with species we never knew existed. Dr. Kim had been analyzing the quantum signatures left behind by the collapsed barriers. Elena, I'm detecting something interesting. The Confederation's technology didn't just disappear, it left behind what I can only describe as quantum scars. Patterns in space-time that could revolutionize our understanding of physics. You mean we can study their technology? Better than that. The barrier collapse created a kind of quantum echo across the galaxy. Every liberated civilization now has access to the same technological remnants. We're all going to advance together. Over the following hours, a remarkable thing happened. Instead of chaos, the newly freed civilizations began organizing themselves. The Whisper network that had maintained secret communications during the imprisonment became the foundation for a new galactic community. Elena received a personal message from Speaker Corvani. Dr. Vasquez, the Vega Coalition formally requests that Earth consider hosting the first Galactic Freedom Council. Your species showed us that resistance was possible. Now let us build something better than what we lost. The invitation was overwhelming. Earth, barely a spacefaring species, was being asked to help lead a galactic government of free worlds. President Shun looked to Elena. Dr. Vasquez, you started this revolution by asking the right questions. What do you think we should do? Elena considered the magnitude of the decision. We should do what humans do best: ask more questions. Not just accept leadership, but question what kind of galaxy we want to build. The response from Earth was characteristically human. Instead of immediately accepting the honor, they proposed something unprecedented: a rotating council where different species would take turns leading, sharing perspectives, and preventing any single civilization from accumulating too much power. Proposal was met with enthusiasm across the galaxy. Civilizations that had been isolated for centuries were eager to participate in governance, rather than simply being governed. Dr. Park made another discovery that changed everything. Elena, while analyzing the communication patterns from liberated worlds, I found something remarkable. Many of these civilizations developed similar resistance technologies during their imprisonment. We weren't the only ones who refused to give up. What do you mean? The galaxy is full of species who maintain secret research programs, underground resistance movements, and hidden communication networks. The Confederation didn't just imprison civilizations, they inadvertently created a galaxy full of expert rebels. Elena laughed, realizing the irony. They tried to create order by suppressing chaos, but they actually taught hundreds of species how to be effectively chaotic. 3 months later, Elena stood on the observation deck of humanity's first interstellar embassy, a space station built through cooperation between 12 different species. The station orbited at the edge of the solar system, serving as Earth's gateway to the galactic community. Captain Rivera had been promoted to Director of Interspecies Defense Coordination. Elena, the galaxy's a lot more interesting than the Confederation wanted us to believe. We've made contact with explorers, artists, scientists, philosophers, and yes, even a few dangerous species, but nothing we can't handle together. Dr. Kim had become Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Science Consortium. The technological exchange has been incredible. We're learning about civilizations that solved climate change centuries ago, species that communicate through quantum entanglement, and cultures that view art as a form of mathematics. Elena had taken on the role she never expected. Earth's first galactic questioner, a position created specifically for her ability to ask uncomfortable questions that needed asking. The latest challenge was intriguing. Several liberated civilizations had reported detecting signals from beyond the galactic. Edge transmissions that suggested the Confederation might have been part of an even larger authoritarian structure. "Elena," Dr. Park called from the communications array, "we're receiving a message from the Galactic Core. It's addressed specifically to you." The message was from a coalition of ancient civilizations that had been watching the liberation with great interest. "Dr. Elena Vasquez of Earth, your species has accomplished something remarkable. You have proven that no system of control is permanent when faced with beings who refuse to stop asking, why? We would like to meet." Elena smiled as she prepared her response. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries and challenges they had never imagined. But humanity no longer faced them alone. They faced them as part of a community of free species, united by a simple principle: the right to ask questions, explore possibilities, and shape their own destiny. The Confederation had promised to shield humanity from the unknown. Instead, humanity had chosen to embrace the unknown, and in doing so, had taught the galaxy that freedom was worth any risk. Elena typed her response to the ancient civilizations. "We would be honored to meet. But first, we have some questions." After all, humans had never been content with easy answers. And now, neither was the rest of the galaxy. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.